What's up guys, welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 fan of a host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/TalesFromRetail. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called, I Want to File a Complaint Against Her. So yesterday at work, it got pretty busy. I'm only part-time, so I was only there for 5 hours. But I still have a 10-minute break, no matter how busy it is. I'll stay to help get the line down if there is one, but once I clock out for my break, there's nothing I can do until it's over. It gets to be about an hour and a half before I go home. My manager, who was my backup cashier, and I both had a line, but she told me to cut my light, finish the line I had, and take my break. Now, we have to clock out for our breaks, and to do that, we just put in our user ID, password, hit tab 5 times, then enter. Takes 10, maybe 15 seconds to do. I finish the last customer in line and clock out. As soon as I hit enter, this dude rushes up to my register, throws his basket down, and starts to unload it. I say, "I'm sorry sir, but I just clocked out for my break. I can't help you." He gets all upset and throws his hands up saying, "Come on man, I just got over here. She's helping someone with balloons, but you just gonna turn me away like that?" I apologize and he walks away. I thought maybe he was just having a bad day. I go to the restroom, come back, and she's got quite the line. I felt bad about that, but what could I do? I was still on break. I jokingly ask, "Where'd all these people come from?" And that same dude shouts, "It came from you being on break." I laughed it off, which admittedly may have just pissed him off even more. Went to the office, right behind the registers, and sat down, cause I'd been on my feet for 3.5 hours by then. We'd been busy as heck. I wasn't feeling well, and I had little sleep the night before. I then hear, "Where's your manager?" Lo and behold, it's that same guy. He then goes on to complain to my manager and say I'm unprofessional for turning him away and not checking him out. He then said, "And how do you feel with us sticking you at this line?" Like, first of all, sir, it was slow-ish when I went on break. Secondly, I can't control how busy the store gets when I go on said break. He just kept on going on and on about how unprofessional I was. The whole situation was just absurd. Because, let's be real, this guy was complaining to my manager and calling me unprofessional because I wouldn't bend the rules and ring him up while off the clock. How dare I make him wait in line like literally everyone else in the store has to do? The best part? My break was over like 2, maybe 4 minutes after he left. Remember, my break was 10 minutes. When I went out there to continue my job, I got some customers through that had just seen the whole thing. What did they have to say about it? Don't let jerks like that get you down. He made a fool of himself by complaining because everyone else knew my register was closed. My light was off and none of the other customers had tried to come to my register, and had heard my manager tell me to take my break. When he came to my register, he lost his place in line. Remember when I said my break was over like 2 to 4 minutes after he left? Yeah, he would have been out of there so much quicker had he just been patient and waited in line like literally everyone else in the store had to do. I didn't get in trouble because why would I? I did nothing wrong. My manager just told me to not let people like that get to me, which is sometimes easier said than done, but in this situation, given how odd it was, I found it pretty easy to just laugh it off. That's the first genuinely rude customer I've dealt with, the first complaint I've had, and of course it was on Black Friday. I don't have much to say about this, pretty cut and dry. Don't bother employees on their break, I guess. This story's called, I'm Not Getting My Way? Call an Ambulance. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Much like many other poor, unfortunate souls, I have the displeasure of working the week of Thanksgiving at our local regional grocery chain. It's been a rough week, but last night took the cake. It's 9:25 p.m. We are finally winding down from the horrific Thanksgiving Eve traffic, but still busy. A customer appears at the help desk and I go to greet her. She tells me she called earlier and she was there to pick up a money transfer. I remember her call and I log in to help her. I take all her info and enter it into the computer before I get to the ID entry. Now, the money transfer service we use is very easy to use. To pick up money, you just need the transfer code and a valid, in-date form of ID. I start to enter her ID and suddenly spot the expiration date. I'm sorry, ma'am, but your driver's license is expired. I should have seen this earlier. She is immediately distressed at this. It just expired last month. Can't you just use it? I try and explain to her that we have very strict guidelines and I cannot, under any circumstances, accept an expired form of ID. She then proceeds to tell me that she has absolutely no money and this is the only thing she has and she doesn't have enough gas to get home and I really need to just do it because she needs it. I calmly tell her that she can call the person that sent it to her and ask them to go back to the location they sent the money from and ask them to change it to not require an ID, which is easy and will fix her issue. After some more repetitive frustration, she finally calls. Enter her niece. She explains the situation to her niece, and they go back and forth briefly before I am inevitably handed the phone. I politely explain exactly what her niece will need to do to fix this. I am immediately met with a condescending attitude from her niece. Hi there, OP. Yeah, you seem to be mistaken. I sent this money using my phone. It did not go to an agent. I suddenly realized I'm in for a rough ride. Is there an option to edit transactions on the mobile app? I'm not 100% familiar with the app. I don't know how to use the app as we are only trained on the POS itself. As soon as I finish my sentences, they answer. No, there is not an option. I then politely explain that they will have to go to a physical location to change the transaction. Karen mode, activate. I'm sorry, what was your name again, OP? Yeah, this isn't gonna work. My aunt is having a very hard time right now and I'm gonna need you to pay this money out. I then reiterate myself, explaining what they have to do. Alright, OP, what location are you at? Yeah, this has left a very bad taste in my mouth and I am extremely disappointed with this. I can assure you I am going to get this dealt with because I know how to get this done. Hand the phone back to my aunt. By now, I am 100% done with the situation. The woman talks to her niece on the phone briefly, then hangs up. I let her know as soon as she gets an update to let me know, and I go to try and get the mountain of stuff I have left to do done before the store closes in 20 minutes. As I was getting some stuff done, I called my manager to the front just to bring him up to speed with the current situation in the event it escalates, which I felt it would. Unfortunately, he takes it a step further and just goes straight to the woman and asks her about the situation. She explains it to him, and he repeats the same thing I told both her and her niece about a dozen times now. She tells us both that she is desperate for the money and that she'll just have to sleep in the parking lot then. My manager and I both apologize and go back to our closing duties. Shortly after, I walk by her and realize she's on the phone again. I decide to sit by the help desk as I'm sure she'd want to speak to me soon. She goes back and forth with her niece again before handing the phone back to me once again. Hi there, yeah, all the locations near me that service money transfers have closed at 9. I really need you to go ahead and pay this out for her. My grandmother recently died and it really has taken a toll on her and she needs this money. I'd like to make it very clear to you who I am and I can provide you all of my details. Sometimes I understand people just go a little too far. I really need you to use your best judgment on this one. At this point, I was pretty done with being vaguely threatened and bullied over the phone. But before I could politely tell the woman on the phone to deal with it, my manager walks up to assess the situation. I immediately asked her if she'd like to talk to my store manager. Oh, I'd love to. Author's note. My store manager is a 60-plus-year-old tall, thin Wisconsin man that has worked enough retail years to have absolutely no patience for BS like this. He's not rude, but he won't take crap from anyone.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we cannot help you. This is against policy, etc., etc.
While he's talking to her, the woman who originally came in was standing to the side of the desk. Suddenly, she started to grasp at her chest and moan. She didn't say anything to either of us or try and get our attention, but I noticed her out of the corner of my eye. The more my manager told her niece that we could not do it, the louder she got. Oh, my pacemaker! I don't even have my nitro pills! Oh, Lord! Etc. Finally, she apparently had enough. I need someone to call me an ambulance! I tell my manager, who is still arguing on the phone. He immediately hands the phone to me and calls EMS. I pick up the phone. Ma'am, we're calling your aunt an ambulance. I'm hanging up the phone. Before I could hang up, she just responds, "What? Let me speak to my aunt." I hand the phone to the woman. "Oh Lord, it's my pacemaker and I don't even have my nitro pills. Oh no," etc. She hangs up the phone and just kind of stands there, before eventually starting to lean to one side. I then walked over to stabilize her as my manager is on the phone with the EMS. The moment I get to her, she just starts to limp to one side or another alternatively. I gently held her by the shoulders to keep her upright and asked my manager to get her something to sit on. He brings something over and I set her on it. As we waited, she continued to slump in the chair, but I made sure she stayed alert and conscious. As soon as the ambulance pulled into the parking lot, she suddenly became more alert. "Oh there, I can feel my pacemaker. That's better." The EMTs brought in a stretcher, loaded her up, and took her out. They sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes before driving off with no lights, so I can assume she was okay. But I won't really know until I inevitably see her again. All in all, this was one of the most frustrating and ridiculous things I have ever had to do at my job. I was already thoroughly stressed from the holiday load, and this made the day even worse. All over about $50. I just hope she's okay from this event and that I can get a physical copy of the customer complaint they send in so I can frame it on my wall. Happy holiday season, everybody. Oh my gosh. Okay, one of the things that really annoys me that you see in TV mostly, I don't think I've ever... Actually, no, I'll take that back. You don't even know what I'm talking about. When people fake medical emergencies, oh my gosh. That is incredibly stupid because, first of all, you're panicking everyone and who knows, maybe someone has a fragile heart and they'll die right there because you had to fake die. Second, resources, people, resources. Okay, I know medical emergency calls, they don't really count towards your minutes, but hey, you know what? Maybe someone has a really illegal prepaid phone plan and their minutes are wasted because you had a fake dying, right? And then there's the whole matter of wasting resources, okay? Ambulances don't grow on trees, all right? There's not an unlimited supply, all right? There are people who have to wait an unreasonably large amount of time because they don't have ambulances available, because someone had a fake die in a Kroger, or whatever store this was. Okay, sorry. I'm done. Mini rant. This story's called I Got Poached. Super happy ending. It's 3 days ago. I'm wasting away as a burnt-out furniture lead at a big box store home department that's getting worse by the day. I sell a table to a guy. He's really easygoing and we get along great. I've sold this table so many times that I know the 11-digit UPC by heart. So checkout goes extremely smoothly. Load up is also extremely easy because he has a truck for which I thank him profusely. He comes back later to buy the matching bench and asks me if I've ever done any bookkeeping. Turns out he owns a dental lab nearby and is looking for an assistant. Wants to try me because he's impressed by my service and my product knowledge. We exchange info, I go in the next day to check it out, and it's absolutely fascinating. The job he had in mind for me is everything I've been looking for. Filing and office work, but also running pickup and delivery for dental impressions and finished crowns, pouring plaster to make reproductions of patients' teeth, and learning how to use the equipment in the lab. We get to talking and I find out that my potential new boss is not only kind, patient, and caring, but unlike my current boss, he is also competent because he's been in the field for over 25 years. We both think I'd be a good fit, so I go in for a short shift the next day. It didn't even feel like work. I met so many sweet people, did a ton of hands-on learning, and even caught a billing mistake that saved him nearly $100. Poured 3 plaster bite impressions, and apparently I have a knack for it. The whole time we talked about family, interests, his experiences in the dental field and the Air Force, all sorts of things. 6 hours just flew right by and I enjoyed every minute of it. It blows my mind how this just fell into my lap. I put in my 2 weeks with my retail job last night and I couldn't be more thrilled to start on this new path. I'm so happy to be working for a private company owned by one artisan as opposed to a corporate meat grinder. I'm just unbelievably grateful. You know what, my man? That was not boasty at all. That was just you celebrating something good happening in your life. And you know what? It is such an amazing thing when something happens to you and it's a good thing. You know, there's a sort of change in your life. and it gets you so excited that you just want to tell everyone and talk to everybody about something. I don't know, that's how I get. But yeah, congratulations, and I'm curious, let me know in the comments below how you may have come across your dream job if you're, in that job, profession thing. Words. Hard. This story's called, Woman Tries to Tell Me the Prices and Offers in My Shop and I Turn into Palpatine. I have posted here before about a refund in my shop and I would post any more stories that happened here. Well, the week just gone and we had a Karen customer come in. You know where this is going. So I work in a charity shop and we sell all sorts of really cheap things. On single DVDs, we sell them for 25 pence each or 6 for £1. For anything that is a whole series DVD, we sell for £1, as these are obviously more expensive in mainline retail shops. So Karen comes in and brings about 5 Family Guy season DVDs to the till. I ring them up and say the price. She looks at me like, excuse me, it is 6 for £1. I said yes for single ones, but this is a series DVD, they are £1 each. Her face scrunches up with disarray. She then says they are 3 in this case and 3 in that one. That makes 6. I said, yeah, if they were single DVDs. Karen then decides to say, well, it wasn't like that when I was in yesterday. I'm beginning to laugh in my head because it's literally never been different since we have opened. She went on to say one of our volunteers sold them to her separate just yesterday. I ask who. She ends up naming one who she has seen before. I look on the till for transactions and lo and behold, the volunteer was not on the till yesterday because she was not even in the shop. I already knew this, but I felt like showing her up in front of the queue who were all looking at her like, really? I say this to her and she gets in a huff saying, can I speak to the manager? I then say in Palpatine style, I am the manager. Karen just assumed just because I was young I wasn't a manager. She then snorts and goes, I'm not having them then, and walks off. I will be honest, I got great joy putting her in her place. First off, sorry for that bad Palpatine. I can usually do a really good one, but my throat just isn't doing that little curdly thing. And I don't know, I'm not very good at inducing it by myself. Anyways, cute little story. Not exactly 100% sure what's going on there, but you sure showed her, man. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.